Hey, what's up, comic book fans, comic book weekly fans, comic book corner 2.0 fans? We are back. Well, I'm back. These guys have been around forever, but I'm back after like 12 or 13 weeks of not being here. Guys, welcome to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. And in case you don't know me and you're new, it's like you've been watching the show and I haven't been on. My name is Mike Spider Slayer. So I just been away a long time because I've been really busy doing with work and stuff like that. So I'm happy to be on. We're going to have a great show for you today. There's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of news. And of course, above me, I have Brant Fowler.
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
And then, of course, on the other side, on top of me, I have Kat Kamaguno.
Hey guys, what is up? And everyone's saying welcome to Mike, and we are so happy to have Mike back, especially this week. We actually have a lot to talk about news-wise, and Mike didn't have the opportunity to share his thoughts about Tim and Substack and all that, so I'm sure we'll have opportunities to do that as well. So yeah, let's get into some of this news. We have a little bit of DC news, in media, well, a lot of DC news, but a little bit of DC Comics media news. And first up is DC Animated's Catwoman movie. There's a movie happening, I guess, and the cast has been announced. One of the big ones, and I think this was trending on Twitter, was Elizabeth Gillies is going to be playing Catwoman, and then Stephanie Beatrice is going to be playing Batwoman. I believe Stephanie Beatrice is from Batman, from Brooklyn. I know whatever that show is called, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine or whatever it is.
There we go, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And then Elizabeth Gillies, I think, is from Victorious, the Nickelodeon show. Yeah. So we're getting a Catwoman anime movie. I've not, the only anime movie I'm like interested in from DC right now is Injustice. That's about it.
I like the idea of it. There was I forget what it was in, but there was like a short or like a side story of Catwoman animated not that long ago, and I enjoyed that. So I think, or maybe I'm just making stuff up in my head. Either way, I actually liked Victorious, and she was also on Dynasty, the remake of Dynasty and stuff. So I think it's a good choice. She's got a voice that matches Selena. So, and I think Jonathan Frakes is doing one of the voices as well from Star Trek. So
nice. So it should be a big one for everybody. We got Mike Manhattan says is Kat wearing a sleeveless shirt? Now I just rolled it up for a second because it's getting a little hot. So no sleeveless shirt, same old t-shirt. Let's see if there's any other comments here. Just people talking about the anime and movies, but also some media news is that Chloe Bennett is leaving Powerpuff Girls. Man, that show.
Yeah. That show's doomed.
I don't think the show's going to happen, man.
No, I don't think so. Not anymore.
I don't either. And like, she was one of the main reasons I wanted to watch it after Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, I was excited about that. When I heard that news, I was like, oh no, that just, it half killed the show for me. So
I still was interested in Dove Cameron, but I mean, after
hearing, like I said, half killed. Yeah.
People are leaving left and right. I'm like, don't think anyone really
it's like I think it's just on life support to begin with, right? So it's like when you start losing people already, that's just, I don't know, man, it's not a good sign.
Yeah.
So that was all the media news, but we have a ton of comic book news. So let's get into it. I'm trying to see if there's any Marvel news. There wasn't much this week, but let's get into Avengers is celebrating their 750 issues. None of us was reading Avengers, so good, I guess.
Actually, I am reading Avengers.
Oh man, you're back on Avengers.
You stayed with it?
Why?
So what was before the She-Hulk stuff?
Heroes Reborn.
It's so fun. It's bad that I forgot already.
I know, it was like not that long ago.
So Heroes Reborn, I just wasn't really like digging. I got to the end of it, and I'm just like, my gosh, this is just. It started off great, and then it just, I don't know, it just became like one shots basically, and then, but I am interested in what the whole She-Hulk, Red Widow, Black Widow thing is going on right now, So I am reading that on what's going on with that right now. And she just became a Black Widow, Red Widow. She's like Red She-Hulk, but a widow. That's basically what's going on in there.
That's weird.
It's very weird.
Yeah, I'm not reading it right now. I stopped with Heroes Reborn. I just, and I didn't pick it back up. But the article about this issue, the 750th, and Doom bringing all these amalgamation characters from, Heroes Reborn and different things, that looks interesting to me. Like there's like a Ghost Rider, Green Goblin guy, and different things like that. So that looks fun at least. So
did you read the Free Comic Book Day issue?
No.
So we were discussing, me and Brant. I got my Free Comic Book Day books. I've not read one. I have not even been able to.
So that
read
story,
them.
Yeah,
I got that book actually a long time ago from my shop, and so I decided to read it mainly because of not Avengers, but because of Hulk. And that Avengers story has to do with everything that's going on. There's like a bunch of Deathlocks flying around, and they're going through the multiverse and everything. And at the end, you wind up getting to see all those different characters show up on the last page. So when I saw that, I'm kind of like you, like that sounds really cool, Yeah. So I guess it pays to read Avengers right now, but I still don't know if it's going to be any good. It looks cool, right? But that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I won't be picking up Avengers. Don't think, unless something really great happens. Every single time I've picked up this run, I have not liked anything about it. So I'm gonna skip that. If World War She-Hulk doesn't give me the opportunity to read Avengers, I don't think anything will. We actually have a lot of comments about Jonathan Hickman leaving X-Men, which I didn't see confirmed, but then I just looked it up. It looks like it's pretty confirmed, so we can talk about that, which could have been our title today, but who knew
when
about
was that
that?
news actually happen, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. None of us saw it. CBR announced it 4 hours ago. Bleeding Cool was 8 hours ago, but no one from Newsarama or like bigger sites have announced it.
Well,
nothing. No big sites have announced it.
In Entertainment Weekly said EW can confirm that Jonathan Hickman, the writer behind blah blah blah, will be departing the X-Men line after his upcoming Inferno series wraps. Yep.
See, if we saw that would have been good.
We saw that coming though, because Inferno is only a few issues anyway.
Yeah, it's about 5 issues. Well, also let's talk about Substack. He was announced that he's going to be part of Substack, and every single creator that's part of Substack is leaving Marvel and DC Comics.
Almost. So one of our topics is Daredevil. Daredevil supposedly being canceled. So I actually am subscribed to Chip Zdarsky's newsletter, and he talked about that today. He put out a newsletter today and talked about it, and he claims that that's not true, that they're taking a break after issue 36, and he doesn't know if it's going to come back with issue 37 or issue 1, but they are continuing their story, and they have other stuff to tell, and like issue 38 is some milestone issue, like so many 100 issues and that kind of thing. So he claims they're coming back for more. So he's not actually leaving. Yeah.
That I did see in the Newsarama article that we have. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. But they're still like ending a series, whatever. But going to the Jonathan Hickman thing, we'll go back to Chip Zdarsky because I think that's important. Then we could go back to Substack because, again, Mike didn't have a chance to talk about it last week. Yeah. But no, I'm glad you brought it up because it does like all go together. And Jonathan, let's go to the root of like X-Men, right? I don't ever feel like he started his run on X-Men. It's so weird to say that. Like he's had so many issues, and I'm like, what was the story again? Question mark. Like, what was the overall plot? So that's disappointing. We'll see if Inferno finishes that all. But then the big thing is that the bigger question that we've asked last week is that with all these A-list stars leaving Marvel and DC, what does that leave Marvel and DC? Like, so many big titles are ending. Like, this is crazy. This is a revolution in comics. And now all three of us here are big comic fans, but I don't think any of us are actually subscribing to Substack. So that's also kind of crazy.
I'm not doing it.
I don't want to.
I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it because, listen, eventually it's going to go into a print form. Okay? Yeah. And if I pay $1 for this dude and $1 for that guy,
of course,
this guy and $1 for that guy, it adds up. And I'm sorry.
I have a question though, Mike. How about if they're all together? So you just play like a Netflix fee and you get all those creators in one Netflix fee.
No, I'm still going to wait. I don't like that. I just,
You also don't like digital comics either.
Yeah, I don't like digital comics. I mean, like if I have to, I read digital, right? Because it's part of today, and if I have no other choice and I have to read it that way, then I'll read it that way. But I'm not going to go out of my way for it. Like, and eventually it's going to come out in print, and then that's when I will buy it, you know? So I can't, I don't know if I can see myself doing a subscription service. And obviously Substack paid these guys a lot of money, these big writers to do this, because they wouldn't have done it, right? And however long their little contract is, once it runs out, they'll make a decision. Oh, do we go back to Marvel? Do we go back to DC?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at Substack is kind of like a Patreon model. It's early access to stuff that's going to get released later on, and if you're a super fan, you're going to do that.
Right.
But I think the ones that do other kind of content, like Scott Snyder's doing like writing class.
Model. Love Scott's model, the way he's doing stuff.
Yeah, so his premium is a writing class. So he's giving writing lessons and exclusive videos and that kind of thing through his, which is kind of cool, especially if you're a creator and trying to get into that.
Now, so if that's a service, or if that's something that you're looking to do, and that can help you as an artist or a creator, then I can understand that. Like, that makes sense to do that, right? But if you're just a regular creator and you're going to write a story and it's going to have early access, and you're going to be like, well, check out my, subscription, follow me, and I'm going to just give you a news article. I don't care about your news article. I don't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense, because in the world that we live in today, it's not like those freaking movie commercials. In the world of subscription services, how much of these subscription services do we pay? And how high do comic subscription services rank on your list? Now, you can say, well, back in the
Infinite, Marvel Unlimited. Do you guys? I don't have any of those.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you can say back in the day when you got your comic books through the mail, same thing. That was kind of a subscription service, but you could only do so much, and it's going to be the same here. So I don't know.
It's just another platform to get your comics. I think, Tevia just acts like, oh, will it survive? I think, and like we said last week, it's just like we need other avenues to get other people interested in comics. And this is just another avenue. And we're going to talk about the Webtoon stuff as well. We're going to discuss that with DC Comics. We just need more people. I think the bigger question is not even Substack. It's just that these big creators are leaving really big titles. And what does that mean for Marvel and DC? It doesn't even have to, and is indie the new way to read comics? Will superhero comics matter as much?
It opens the door for other creators. And I think
absolutely,
in many ways, is a good thing, right? Because we say this in any job that we are in. Anybody is replaceable. Even a Donny Cates, even a Jonathan Hickman, any Scott Snyder, any of these characters, any of these writers, they're all replaceable. And, if they don't want to write for Marvel or DC right now, well, eventually Marvel and DC will find somebody else, and there'll be somebody that you may not have heard of before that comes out of the woodwork and writes great stories, just kind of like how Donny Cates did, so we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the bigger conversation also is that Marvel and DC needs to treat their creators better. And I hope they do. And they do that with these new creators and give them better deals, because that is exactly why these creators are leaving. They don't have royalties. Right. They're not getting as much money as they deserve. And they will make a lot more money doing Kickstarter or doing Substack or doing indie comics, because that's money in their pocket. So I think that's also a big conversation. We'll go to Zdarsky next, and then we'll talk about Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates are also having a title on Substack, but doing it a little differently. But let's go to Chip Zdarsky. He is also doing Substack, as we know. But yeah, the Daredevil stuff, I hate that there's a hiatus, because I feel like all my books that I like are ending. And I think that's what's made these top 5 part of our show so lukewarm. I enjoy talking about the news a little bit more in these last couple of weeks, because all my favorite titles are ending. So it's just okay, I guess this is fine.
But I mean, you notice though also, I mean, you got these titles that are ending, and then you're possibly getting a lot of deaths too. You got Doctor Strange is going to get ready to die. You could have Daredevil, like he could die, and then there's like Elektra that could take over the mantle based off of what's going on. Because obviously, if the title's going on hiatus or they're relaunching it with Elektra being Daredevil, that might be something. Or you got Peter Parker who's going in a coma, or what's going on with him. You got Scarlet Witch who just died. So there's just a lot of things going on that they're either doing this on purpose to set something new in the future. But there's a lot of uncertainty right now.
Yeah,
it makes me very nervous because like I said, a lot like Runaways just ended. Miss Marvel's delayed. Like there's so many books that are being announced. I'm like, okay, that's cool, question mark, I guess. And then like so many books that are great that are just ending and there's no real replacements for them. So that makes me a little nervous. Like I remember the days of Paper Girls and those books where you're like, okay, I have at least 5 titles I'm like really excited for, and I know they're gonna be 5 stars. And like I don't know if I really have many books anymore that I know is gonna be 5 stars.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I hope it is like it as far as Marvel goes. I hope it is like you said, Mike, that they are setting something up, for the future, some big event, something to set things back on course or whatever. Because that, at least that would be interesting. Because all these, we've talked about it for months now. These books that we typically love, we haven't loved the stories that have been going on in them. We talked about Avengers right here. We've talked about Spider-Man multiple times. So, I with a bunch of these creators leaving these titles, whether they're leaving Marvel or not, and all these deaths and everything, hopefully it's kind of resetting things in a I don't like to use this term, but Marvel now kind of way.
Yeah.
So we can get a fresh start and fresh takes on these characters and move forward.
Well, that's why I was reading Avengers though too, because it's like Jennifer Walters has been a stupid She-Hulk, right? She's basically been the replacement for Hulk. And now that she's becoming a widow, well, what does that mean? Does she become a more tactical, smart fighter?
I hope so.
Because the only picture that we got right now was at the very end where she's red, she has blonde hair now, and she's super muscular. But what did that do to her mind? So I'm very, very curious now to see if it also changed the status quo on her.
I really hope so, because I hate dumb She-Hulk. It seemed like long. Yeah, it seemed like before all that they were going somewhere with her. They tried several different things, but then they reverted to this, and it's just like, this is not good for me. So,
but then Immortal She-Hulk was so good, and like, why couldn't we go into that path? And Immortal Hulk is so good. So we'll see what's up with all that. Now going in again, there's just a lot of like industry talk. So going into Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates, it's been announced their new title, but now we're seeing a little bit more of a release plan. They are doing Substack, but we know it's going to be an Image book, which I think is great. One thing I loved about Nocterra from Scott Snyder is that he did it as a Kickstarter book first, and then he went to Image just to get a different audience. And I hope, and we'll talk about Webtoon later, but I hope more creators do that. They use other platforms first, and then they'll go Image Comics, so we can read that. We'll 100% read Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates' new book, and we could wait until it gets published by Image. And if Dark Horse, Image, Aftershock, if they're smart enough, I hope they are making deals with Substack or making deals with these creators to get printing rights, because that's going to be big.
And you clued into something, though, different audiences. And that's the whole thing with Substack. We may not be the audience for Substack subscriptions, but there are a lot of people that probably are. And that
all they know is subscription services.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing, though, because like you said, Kat, they can tap into all these different audiences and get all this new awareness on these titles, and then release them into other markets. And then, people like us that, want to get it from like Image or whatever, can get it that way. And I just think that's cool, because it's for the creators. Like, you guys said, they're getting more in their pockets. They have more freedom and control over it. And, it hopefully brings new people into their world and into the world of comics.
Now, do we not know like a price of any of this yet?
No, we don't know really anything, I don't think.
I mean, Scott Snyder's is $7 a month. I don't know about the others.
So much
Yeah.
for one creator. So
Yeah.
much.
I don't know what the others are charging. I think they said it themselves, so it's
like you get a movie service for that much. You know what I'm saying?
And that's just
Like-
one creator. Like a movie service is like so many different talents and one. That's why
Right.
I'm confused
Yeah.
of like why they're not making all these creators one price point.
See,
Yeah.
you made a good point, Kat. Like if you told me, now that I think about it, if you sat there and said, well, Mike, if you have Donny Cates and Jonathan Hickman and you have all these guys together or a whole bunch of creators and they doing a comic book like Netflix and it was $5.99 and you get all their stuff, then I could definitely would consider it. But if
Yeah,
it was
same.
like $30 a month, I probably, I don't know if I still would do it. I don't know. To me, that's a lot of money, you know?
Because especially you'll get it printed and you'll have it forever. Like I don't need the digital comic. I don't really like
Right.
reading digital comics unless it's a different form, like a webtoon or something. I'll read that digitally. But honestly, I'd rather read that printed as well if I had the chance.
I mean, it's all about the super fans, right? It's all about their fan base that are curated for that content. They just want to have their stuff early, which is totally fine. But yeah, it's a lot. Somebody said in the comments that Donny Cates is $8 a month, so that's two creators, $15 a month.
It goes to the Patreon thing that we were talking about. But with Patreon, I don't know. I do it so little. I usually do it for video content. Like I like watching YouTubers. Like I like the Try Guys a lot. So I've given him $2 a month so I can get early access, but then also like videos that I can't get unless I'm subscribed to the Patreon.
Yeah.
Same thing with a few webtoons. I'll do it for early access and like some things you won't get anywhere else. But that's $2. I'm not paying. And also that's like 40 minutes of content. Like I'll watch an episode with them and I can watch that for 2 lunches. Like for a comic, it's gonna be like 10 minutes of content for $8 and you can only get one comic a month. Like the other things, I could get at least one video a week. It feels like a lot of money for what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree. My patronage is very low like that as well. The only time I spent more than that was to get an ad spot on a podcast, but that was business expense, not a personal enjoyment thing. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to keep our eyes on it and see how it does. So.
For sure, and if other indie creators like
thank you, Jesse. Yeah,
LLP joins, if there's opportunities for not just the big names to be on there.
Right.
So going into, we're gonna stray away from some industry talk, and then we'll go back to it just because our main topic is about Bendis. So we're gonna go back to that, but. Let's talk about Jeff Lemire. He's doing a Batman and Robin miniseries that is exploring the past of Batman and Robin. A story we've definitely seen a billion times, but it's Jeff Lemire. So yeah, I'm going to get it. I think it's Dustin Nguyen as well. Like, I'm all for this.
I don't know. This week there was a lot of Batman stuff out, right? And
oh yeah, let's talk about that.
I was reading Batman and I'm like, man, I'm tired of reading Batman comic books. I am, because it was like I didn't even read Urban Legends this week, but I read like Detective, I read Joker, I don't even know what else came out. Batman 89, and I'm just like, oh my god, there's like freaking 3-4 Batman books every single week, and it's just like I am honestly burnt out of all these Bat books, and so I don't know if I will go out there and get another Batman book. I just think there really is too much at this point.
Specifically, there's too much starring Batman.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I think, and we'll obviously talk about the big Batman news as well. He's leaving Gotham. But it's tough because I love Batman, and that's like the key franchise I enjoy from DC. But I agree. I think there's too much Batman itself and too much Joker. And I think there's too many DC Black Label books. Like, if you could please just give me regular continuity books, I would be more willing to buy them. Batman and Robin, again, only because it's Jeff Lemire. Because Jeff Lemire usually doesn't fail. Sure. So I'll read that. And it's only 3 issues as well. But then there's, like, Batman The Dark Knight. Or, like, what else is going on? There's so many Black Label books going out with Batman. And honestly... Yeah. Do I need that? No.
The puzzle box. thing, the
Not
Joker
getting
puzzle
that.
box. Yeah.
The Joker puzzle box, a lot of Suicide Squad. But what was
Mhm.
interesting, and this was going to be another topic. There's so many different topics we could have fully focused on for this week just because there's so much news. But November in particular, there was a lot of Batman books for those solicits. And it's just like, where are all the other characters? Like, DC has so many characters. Why are they not, like, they've given up. And it's so sad to see it. And it just feels like there's no creativity anymore. And I mean, James is leaving. It's just, I don't know where DC is going, and I'm scared for them.
That's a good segue into Tom Taylor's new book.
Yeah, Tom Taylor's new book is
it's a Batman book.
It is a Batman book, but it's Tom Taylor, so I'll probably try it out. And it's a fantasy book, though, and I'm like, oh no, I hate fantasy. But hey, Brant is a big fantasy fan, so I'm sure he's excited.
I love fantasy, but it's a Bat book, and it's like an Elseworlds kind of tale, or it's a different world, or whatever it is. I don't know, but yeah, I'll try it. But I'm actually not super excited about it. I like fantasy books, but I don't love Gotham by Gaslight aside. I don't love twisting modern day stuff into another setting. You know,
I gotta interrupt you for 1 second.
Wow, yeah.
I'm so sorry. 40 euros, it looks like. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate
awesome.
that. And that's from Bouquet 619 Hickman left X-Men. Thank you so much for that. Sorry to interrupt, but I had to interrupt when I saw that.
It's fine. Yeah, we started talking about Hickman leaving X-Men, and we kind of detoured to some other Marvel stuff at the time. But no, that's a huge topic, huge blow for the X-Men as well. So,
but
continue with your thought.
Yeah, it was. It
definitely was. Yeah. I mean,
with Inferno,
we kind of talked about it a little bit, but like real quick, it was like, okay, he's no longer on the X-Men title, right? And then he gets this Inferno title to maybe wrap up some loose ends. But here's a question, real quick: when do you think Marvel just said, Hickman, we don't really like your direction of X-Men?
I don't know if it was Marvel, because it's been selling like hotcakes, even if they don't
I think
like
it's been selling, but when you have all the other people connected to the X-Men line, right? When did it come to a part where it was no longer Hickman really going, okay, this is good, and it was something else? Because I felt like there's very handful of issues that felt like Hickman's run, right? And then all the other stuff was just like filler or just nonsense, right?
I mean, look at Hellfire Gallows or a filler event. I'm going to say, I think Hickman got that Substack deal. He just like, all right, I'm done. Look at Tiny End. His most recent arc is not as good as the others. Like the last couple of issues feel like, oh, that's when he got that Substack deal.
And
I think the same thing happened with Hickman.
Well, I think between that and just his success of Something is Killing the Children and his other titles like Nice House on the Lake, like honestly, dude, like he could be off of Batman and be very well off right now. You know what I'm saying?
Better off.
All right.
Like
yeah,
he's exactly. Making more money.
I mean, and you guys don't read Something is Killing the Children.
Right.
No, I wanted to get the free comic book day book, but I forgot.
And
that was going to be like the jumping off point.
And you should.
I've heard good things.
Really freaking good. So just throwing that out there. But Hickman, going back to that quick topic right there. You're right, though. He could have gotten that deal a long time ago. It could have been in the making and whatnot. But I don't know. I think part of it had to be with Marvel at the same time. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe they decided to take everything into a different direction. Who knows? You never know. I mean, they do those summits where they like plan the next year or so in advance and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know when they do those. But, I mean, Hickman's run, I think it was too big. The scope of it was too big and too spread out that we never got any resolution for anything, and everything's just kind of up in the air.
And
So
there's no character-driven stories anymore.
yeah,
It felt like it was just like, all right, we're gonna focus on this D-list character for a whole issue, and then we'll go back to Laura that was referenced 20 issues ago, which is a
yeah,
shame. And books like Marauders, books that were really good, I also feel like lost focus and went on for
yeah,
too long. And then Jared Dugan took over regular X-Men, so maybe that's why it lost focus. It's like it's a Kitty
yeah.
Pryde book, but Kitty's hardly in it. The things that make it great, they don't focus on, which is a shame.
Yeah, and like we've talked about, like Where's Gabby for so long, and that series was so good. All New Wolverine with Laura and Gabby, and then Gabby's nowhere to be found, and then when she does show up, she's dead. And it's like, what are you doing?
We do have David Berg who said Hickman's run has been spectacular and sent in an amazing new direction, but confusion was at the forefront. Oh yeah. For sure. There's points where like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next X-Men run. You're like, oh, this has been going on for 3 years now. Got ya. After X of Swords, that's when the illusion, the rose-colored glasses went off my ears.
The thing is, the idea behind it was great. It's like, okay, we're taking all the X-Men, giving them this island, now they can resurrect. It's like, this is different, this is fresh, this is new. Yeah. But then nothing happens. Yeah. And they're just kind of there. So that's the problem with it for me.
Yeah. And then, going back to the DC talk about, characters that, we need besides Batman, like, how many people go to me, and we said it before, like, where's Green Arrow? Like, why doesn't he have his own book? And it's just like, who are some of the other characters that got, thrown in the trash can? Like, how long can DC just release Batman titles or Bat Family titles before people totally get turned off of it and be like, dude, I'm done with Batman. Like, let's get something else out there.
How about if you don't like Batman? That sucks. Like, at least all three of us like Batman, so it's like, all right, fine. But like, and also like, there's not a Batgirl book. With all these Batman books, there's not even a Batgirl book. There's so much just Batman itself and not a lot of the Bat Family books, which we're going to talk about. There is one Bat Family book that is coming up. But going back to the Tom Taylor thing, it's interesting because he said he's been working on this for like 2 years or 3 years. He's been working on this like fantasy book, which makes me excited, but I don't know. Also, it's like, it seems like there's a lot on his plate, and that worries me a lot too. There's maybe a little bit too many titles from Tom Taylor.
I mean, it's Tom Taylor, and I love his writing and stuff, and I'm sure it's going to be good. I don't know, again, that we need it, but he's excited about it. Hopefully, it's good, and hopefully, it just like, pulls me into it once I actually read it. Because right now it's just like I'm kind of lukewarm about it, actually, which is weird.
Too. I am too, and I'm just because it's another Bat book. Yeah, and it kind of almost reminds me of like, oh, this is a tamed version of like death metal, in a way, And I'm like, oh my god, like this is just something else that's going to take away from his attention on what else he's doing. Like he's writing 2 major books right now, so he's writing the Superboy book, and then he's writing the or the Son of Krypton book, or whatever the hell it's called. The first issue I didn't like all that much, but I'm going to give it another try. But anyway, and then he's writing Nightwing. Yeah. And so it's like, you don't want to take one of your best writers and stick them on some side project just because it's a Bat book that people might pick up, or probably will pick up because it is Batman, and have those 2 titles suffer from it.
Yeah, but I mean, since he's been working on it for 2 years, hopefully all his part has been done for a while.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But the thing it reminds me of most is Marvel's 1602, and I think that's part of why I have like this negative, because I did not enjoy that. So it's just like,
that was pretty bad.
Yeah, if it happens to be like another world in the multiverse and it somehow crosses over and that kind of thing, that might be cool. But if it's just an Elseworlds title, it's just like, hopefully it's fun. And that's it. Yeah.
We'll definitely see. I will pick up the first issue. That will definitely determine it all, I'm sure. Speaking of Batman, we do have a new Robin book that we already knew was going to come out because of the round robin. There's obviously a part of me that's still salty about the wonderful books that were there and not going to see the light of day because people are like, we want more Batman. But then there's the other side that, out of all these Batman books, this sounds awesome because I love all these characters and I love. We're gonna talk about the Tim Drake again later, but it's like I love a lot of comments are just like, oh man, about the whole breakup with Stephanie Brown and Tim, and it's just like, well, it's because Stephanie Brown hasn't been in a book like at all. She's a background character in so many things. So I'm hoping a Robin book will give her the opportunity to have a monthly book out. But then it goes back to like, why is there not a Batgirl book? Like, what the hell is going on? They've also teased this for 2 years or a year. There's going to be a Batgirls book. There's going to be a Batgirls book. What is taking so long? Isn't this the obvious book to have? It's like, we want diverse characters, and that's why I'm happy to see a Robin's book. But it's just like, why is it all only Bruce Wayne that we're getting titles from?
Yeah. No, I agree. They've they put that out there with the Batgirls for a long time now, and it seems like a no-brainer that would be a thing that would exist.
I mean, I think it's the only thing that maybe people can write is Bruce Wayne Batman, right? And they don't have the character knowledge to write some of these other characters. So that's that, because a lot of these other writers probably, grew up reading Batman. So they know a lot about Batman, but again, don't know maybe so much about the other ones. Who knows?
But don't you want to learn more? Look at Nightwing. Nightwing's their best title by far. And it's like, has nothing to do with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, it's Tom Taylor.
Oh, I mean,
that Tom Taylor knows how to write characters.
Yeah, he does. He really
does.
It's just Batman sells. That's the bottom line. Batman's their money maker. So they'll keep doling out Batman books. Yeah.
Speaking of, Batman's leaving Gotham and is going to be leaving all these titles. So that's interesting.
Yeah, but it's setting up an event, obviously. So I don't know. That's weird. It's like thinking of Gotham without Batman, like willingly leaving Gotham. That's been like his entire mission, his entire life. Protect Gotham. So
I do want to read Mike Manhattan's comment. You guys know DC is publishing other titles other than Batman.
Barely.
Yeah, barely, man. Barely.
That's our point.
Very
few. Most of the other ones are Bat family books or very closely related to Bat family books.
Or you got like one Wonder Woman book. You got you got a Teen Titans book here. You got
Teen Titans still Bat related.
Still Bat.
It's still Bat related. Yeah, that is true. Aquaman, you got coming up.
I dropped Teen Titans Academy, by the way.
I did too.
Just like 2 issues ago.
I have to say that recent issues, Suicide Squad has been stronger.
Suicide Squad,
I'm coming over to that side. Yeah,
I'm glad. I thought that was the better title. I did drop that too, but I did think that was the better title.
It is becoming the better title for me too. So I'm still reading both at the moment. Yeah.
Fun one. Going back to Batman leaving Gotham, I'm curious if who the hell is taking over Batman. It's funny because I did my free comic book day vlog and I was talking to my friend Marianne and she doesn't read any comics. So I made her talk about all the books. And I was like, what do you think about Batman leaving Gotham? She's like, where is he going? Why's he leaving?
That's what I want to know. Where is he going?
I was like, where is he going? Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm so curious to see who's taking over Batman. That's going to be the big... I think Joshua Williamson's going to be taking over Batman. If I had to make an educated guess, that's who I think it's going to be.
Think so?
I don't know how I feel about
He's doing Robin right now. He's doing all the big stories. He's doing the Infinite Frontier. Who else would take over?
Yeah,
maybe Mariko Tamaki because she's doing detective, but I don't think it's... I think it's going to be...
I don't think they'll double up on that.
I was like Peter Tomasi, and I'm like, but if I was him, I would be like, no, I don't want your stupid job.
But also, he's done so much Batman. I'm like, I'm kind of tired of, I want to see someone new.
I think, he got the shaft when it came to Superman, and then when it came to Detective Comics, they're like, we'll see you later. Here, we're going to put Tamaki on it, and he was still telling his story. And both titles were really good and they were selling well. And so I think he could do probably a pretty good job on Batman. But I don't know if he would actually take it.
Taylor would be great. I'd love to see Taylor on Batman.
He has 20 titles. I would love him on Batman too, but he's on Superman. He's on this Batman fantasy book. It's like, dude, I love Tom Taylor. Love him. But I don't want too much Tom Taylor because I want to see him gradually go into other titles. It's like the Bendis thing.
Yeah, I don't want any writer being overwhelmed and taking on so much that certain things suffer. And that inevitably happens. And, with Williamson, it's like I did not like his Flash run at all. I like a lot of stuff he writes. Obviously. I've talked about Birthright.
Robin.
Yeah, exactly. And, so I could definitely see him on that because he seems like one of the go-tos now. He's very prolific. He's handled a lot of the bigger characters, so I could totally see that, and hopefully it would be really good. I worry again, like if he's spread, a little too thin or whatever. So we'll see, though. It'll be interesting to see who takes it on.
For sure. All right, let's get into some other DC news, Batman related. Danny DeVito is going to be making a Penguin comic for Villain Anthology, which I will not be picking up. I'm done with these anthologies. I don't need a Villain Anthology now.
The interesting thing about this is because, Batman 89 came out this week and there's just this kind of resurgence, celebration of that era of DC movies and that kind of thing. And he was the Penguin in Batman Returns and he was really good as the Penguin. So it's just interesting to see him writing a comic about the Penguin,
It's just weird.
It is weird.
I saw that, and I'm just like, nope. It's not even crossing my mind. It's like, never mind like these anthology books, right? But it's like Danny DeVito writing a book. I'm like, cool, but just I'm not spending my money on it.
Yeah,
and
I
also
get
goes
that.
to all these celebrities are writing comics now, which I get and I honestly like because, like, okay, you're getting different audiences to read comics, but also none of them have been that great. So it's just like, I also wish that if they're gonna write comics, they like study the craft a little bit more before they jump in to write a comic.
Or, I know some of them do partner with comic writers, but even sometimes that doesn't work out, as we've talked about recently, Kat.
Yes, for sure. We definitely have. And I just put the comic book top 5 panels in the comments because we had some questions on that. So definitely go vote for your favorite panel of the week. Moving on to more DC news. Wonder Woman gets a new series about her cosmic adventures. I keep saying we don't want Batman books, but I also don't want to see Wonder Woman in space, so I don't want to pick this up.
I just don't. I mean, this sounds very similar to what happened when she ascended, right? Like she gets brought by the Enclave or whatever. I don't know what they're called. Anyway, this group of people to whatever. It sounds very similar to what happened after Death Metal, does it not? Yeah. So I mean, is it that, or is it just something different that's like it? What I don't understand where this. Where is Wonder Woman? Like in her title, she's like trapped in this loop of different fantasy worlds and all that stuff. And I'm not even reading that anymore. I just don't understand what they're doing with her at this point.
Yep. And I'm right there with you. And when it comes to Wonder Woman, it's a character that I always, when it comes to Diana, it's always a character that I want to love, right?
Yeah.
I think she's a great inspiration for a lot of people. But I just can never get into her books. And I say this all the time, but I just always got into the new 52 run from Finch. Oh my God, what's her name?
Meredith Finch.
Meredith Finch. Yeah. I love that run. I thought that run was really good. For some reason, it interested me. And then when David Finch was on the artwork, it worked really well. But ever since then, I could not have gotten into her title. The only one I like right now is Wonder Girl. It just, I don't know. She's just more relatable type of character. So
yeah, Yara Flor is definitely much better.
And it seems like it's been a while since that last issue came out. I'm ready for another one.
Yeah, it's coming out, I think, next week.
Next week, yeah.
Yes, next week, not this week. We do have a comment about the celebrity thing from SM Down. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it was pretty much saying, well, if you wrote your first short story, do you think it's as good as like your other books that you've published? But also it's the comment of like celebrities having the privilege enough to just get published because they're celebrities. Like, you know, for us it's like, yeah, we did have to write that short story that wasn't published because it wasn't good enough, or it didn't get published because it wasn't good enough. So it's like, then don't publish it until it's good enough. Like, it shouldn't just be the name that sells a book.
Yeah. I agree with that. And it goes back to, you know, some of them partner with other writers that know the craft and stuff. And I think that's the way it should be, unless if they're writers already, like if, you know, some celebrities are, you know, they write screenplays and other things like that too. So, I mean, that's different, but it's still a different skill set and it's a different style of writing. So I agree with you, Kat. I don't think it should be on name alone. I think they should, at the very least, partner up with somebody that knows the craft and be able to shape the story into a comic format. So.
For sure. We also have another question from Epistas Bin. Hey guys, can I have a request for Uno and Mike? Can you show the full design t-shirt you're wearing now with full screen each other? I'm just wearing a Beetle. I'm just wearing a Beetle shirt. So
don't care about my shirt. Fine.
No, not at all.
Look, I had to fit kind of like the theme of today's show. Like, got enough Batman, right?
Yeah, I do like that shirt.
I'm
I want to know your shirt now, Brad. I want to know your shirt.
It's just a Marvel logo shirt, actually. It's like distressed Marvel.
That's why they didn't ask, because they're like, oh, we know that Brant has that boring Marvel shirt. So, although I have a literally boring Beatles shirt.
It's because Brant doesn't have a big YouTube channel.
True. That might be the reason. You should make a YouTube channel just about the shirts.
Just about the shirts.
You review a shirt every episode.
Yeah.
But going into the next topic, which is Infinite Frontier gets a sequel called Justice League Incarnate. Honestly, if Infinite Frontier wasn't a miniseries, I would have dropped it a while ago. But since there's only like 2 issues left, I'm like, all right, let's see it through. I will not be getting the sequel. I have not enjoyed Infinite Frontier. I only really enjoyed the first issue.
I kind of skimmed through it because I read the first issue and I'm like, oh my God, like what's going on? Like, it was like, okay. And then I started going through the second issue and I'm like, okay, I'm lost now. Like it's that type of book for me. Like there's certain things that you got to understand that has happened in the past in DC. And you guys know how I am with DC and just in general, when it comes to like the history of DC. And I just don't find it interesting to me. I don't know. It's not a great book for me, I guess.
It's not a great book for me either. I mean, it's okay. It's not blowing my socks off or anything. I don't hate it. I like seeing some of the characters come back, but it's not giving me anything that would make me want to, pick up a sequel. I did want to say something. Mike Manhattan pointed out that Danny DeVito's, had a lot of writing experience, and I wasn't singling out Danny DeVito. I don't think any of us were. We were just saying celebrities in general. Because some celebrities do come in and just make a book because it's a cool thing to do, and they don't, it's just based on their name. I'm not going to pull out any examples of that, but
yeah, it's just been a craze that has happened recently, and that we've seen it with indie comics and DC comics. Someone also mentioned Gerard Way, who was a musician before. I think a big example of Gerard Way is that he was a lifelong comic fan. Like he knew the crap because he read comics for a very long time and wrote songs and he wasn't just a musician who played music. He wrote those songs. So it's like at least he has a little bit more experience within the medium and also within writing.
And I'm always for creators from a different field, expressing their passion in different ways and exploring different mediums and that kind of thing. So I don't want to come off like I'm saying that no celebrities should stay out of my comics. No, absolutely not. Just like if I was going to go write, a movie or write a song or whatever, I'd want to know the basics and the skills and the different beats that you have to hit with those different mediums. That's all.
Yeah, 100% agree. So going into some questions here we have. I saw that SM Down asked if we saw Suicide Squad. PS, what episode did you get into Young Justice Outsiders for Brant? I have not seen Suicide Squad yet. Been really bad at that. I'm watching everything, so I'm sorry about that. And then Brant, have you caught up with Young Justice?
I have not caught up with Young Justice. I'm not exactly sure where I left off. Honestly, it just this season 3 did not grab me as much as the previous two. So yeah, I don't know where I'm at. I'm somewhere in the middle of it. As far as Suicide Squad, I actually did watch that. I don't want to spoil it because Mike hasn't seen it and he didn't want spoilers on Free Comic Book Day, so I'm not going to spoil anything. But I did watch it. Lisa and I watched it over the weekend, and there were some funny parts in it. I didn't love it as much as some people do, but I can understand the appeal of it. So.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like this. That's last season of Young Justice. So I don't think you're missing much. Let's see. I think there's other questions too. Oh, did you see Suicide Squad, Mike?
No, I did not. I did not watch it. Not yet. It's hard. It's a rated R movie, and it's just like my wife has no interest to see it. I can't see it with my daughter. My son wants to see it, but it's just a matter of us finding time to actually go see it.
Yeah.
No,
I was gonna say, I know it's gory, Mike.
Yeah.
There are some very adult references throughout,
Sure.
sprinkled throughout. Yeah.
Sure, but my son watched Invincible with me.
Yeah, that will be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it would be okay.
Yeah.
We also have a question from Jimmy G. What if episode 1 comments? Haven't seen it.
I think Mike's the only one that has.
You don't watch anything anymore. She used to be like the.
I know she was the TV person.
Queen. She used to watch everything under the sun. She used to watch every single thing: Supergirl, Arrow, Flash. She used to watch all the DC or all the CW shows. She used to watch just everything, and now it's like nothing.
I watch absolutely nothing. I watch Harley Quinn. And I think that's
it.
Again, watch the Free Comic Book Day vlog. My friends called me out on not watching anything and being on my phone. Whatever. I watched Invincible, though. Yeah. So, yeah, I haven't watched anything. And I will. I'll catch up, though. I watched Loki pilot. I watched that Loki pilot.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I will say the What If episode, though, was really good.
Was it good?
Okay.
I'll catch up.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch Hawkeye,
You haven't
though.
watched it yet?
I'm watching Hawkeye.
I haven't watched it yet. No.
Huh?
You're gonna watch Hawkeye weekly, you say, Kat? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not seen What If yet. Yeah.
It's definitely worth the watch.
Yeah, I definitely will. That Lisa told me that's one I can watch on my own. So, yeah, we usually watch all the Marvel stuff together. So she just told me the other day you can watch that one. So okay. And somebody asked about Titans. I have seen the first 2 episodes they dropped 3 episodes. I've seen 2 of them so far. It's good, but the jump and characters leaving or dying off screen made me feel like I missed a season somewhere. So it was really weird getting back into it. But yeah, it's good.
I love hearing about Titans secondhand. That's what that's how I like watching Titans. It's just hearing about it because it sounds like a wild ride.
I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that might be watching it. But
I've already heard.
Yeah, it's talk about fast tracking a storyline. Jason Todd. Oh my God, the Red Hood storyline was sped up so much, unbelievably so much.
Just want to say to Gem Mint Collectibles.
I was just gonna shout that out.
He popped in there, and I guess it's a great way to pass time while you're making the thumbnails. Listening to our live stream. That's great.
Yeah,
I love it. Thank you. We also have a comment from SM Down. If you have HBO Max, I guess why would you go to the movies? I think I haven't been to a movie theater since COVID.
I haven't either.
I saw Black Widow in the movie theater.
You did? I'm sorry.
I still haven't seen that yet.
Wasn't that bad? Because I was like, at least it was in the theater and it looked cool. Okay.
The action was good. And the movie itself was kind of boring. But
if Taskmaster was actually like Taskmaster, I would have liked it a lot more. I thought at first I was like, oh yeah, man, Taskmaster's badass because he's kicking the shit out of her, and it made her so overpowered. And then it's just like, oh, it's the daughter. I'm like, how do you even go there with that? So
and also just like the whole story was just a little bit too late. It's just like
it
I
was
don't
too
care.
late.
It
I
didn't,
agree.
didn't feel connected to anything.
Yeah, if it was in between where it should have been, it would have been, I think, a much better movie. It would have made sense.
Also, the shows are just so much better than movies these days. Like WandaVision, I love that more than a lot of the Marvel movies. Again, I'm super excited for Hawkeye. I'm so excited for Miss Marvel. And the little I've seen of Loki was really good. And even What If and what I've been hearing about that, I feel like I'm kind of over the movies and I just want to see these TV shows at this point.
Yeah.
You can tell better stories.
Man. The animation in it is so good, and just that show definitely has strong potential. And they say a lot of it's going to be connected to the MCU. So I would definitely watch that and pay attention to all those little story threads that might tie into future things.
For sure. What about Falcon and Winter Soldier? I don't even think I want to see it. Just I've heard not great things about it.
Really?
So
I really liked it.
I heard the end. Maybe. I
you know what
I
that
will
means,
watch
Brant?
it only.
No.
I said
Yeah,
that. I said
it
that
does.
about Invincible, and I watched all of it. No, I actually said I would catch up with.
Yeah,
Invincible,
because
so
once
I'm a
you
liar.
started watching Invincible, you're probably like, damn, this shit's good. And then you couldn't stop watching it. You probably like, oh, I want to see how gory this can get.
Oh yeah, no. Also, I just really like Invincible. Like I've always
Yeah.
enjoyed that character, so it's much easier to watch. I don't really like Captain America, so there's not a lot of reasons to watch it. Besides, like I like Emily Van Camp, and I know she has a big role, and that's already been spoiled for me. So it's like, you know.
But it's not about Cap. It's about Falcon and Bucky, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's in the Cap family.
It is in the Cap family, but I thought it was really good.
I mean, what's
Someone
your
also-
favorite?
Hmm?
Brant, what's your favorite Marvel show at this point?
Oh man,
WandaVision.
Yeah,
WandaVision.
I think I still like WandaVision the best. I really liked both Loki and Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier, not Captain. You got me saying Captain America now.
I liked. I think WandaVision was my favorite because of its uniqueness.
Mm-hmm.
It was just something different. Falcon and the Winter Soldier I liked, but it was very safe, right? Very traditional.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that.
Loki, I liked it because it continues right off of the movie, which I thought was really cool. And it just opens up a world to just endless possibilities.
Yeah.
I loved the character Loki. I loved Sylvie. The only thing that I had about it was it's just a very slow series, you know?
Yeah.
And then you get to the end of it and you're like, shit. I'm like, there's a season 2 and like really nothing got resolved. Everything that everyone was kind of speculating on was like, that was it, right? It was like, oh yeah, we're going to get Kang the Conqueror, but it's not really Kang the Conqueror. It's just a variant of himself.
Yeah. It was a weird way to end it, especially when you didn't know there was going to be a season 2 at first. And it's like, this is how they ended this show?
I'm like, this shit can't end like this right now, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm just waiting for some kind of like, you know, credit scene or something. And then you got the stamp and you're like, well, at least there's that.
Yeah. It's like, okay, it makes a little sense. Yeah.
Look, talk to me when Kate comes and shows up to in November. We'll talk about that pilot. I'll watch it that day. No, I won't, but I'll watch it like a couple of days after. Someone also asked about Shang-Chi. I actually thought I heard it was getting good reviews. I'm definitely gonna watch that at some point.
Yeah.
Is it a just theater movie? Is that
it's a theater movie?
Yeah, theater.
Yeah.
Oh no, I might wait. I don't know if it's worth theater going, but I don't know. We'll see. Going into our last bit of news here. So DC Comics is making a deal with Webtoon. So they're going to be having some DC Comics stuff on Webtoon, which is, guys, I've been listening to this podcast. I called this how long ago? I said, hey, guys, watch out on Webtoon. Watch out with Webtoon. Something's going to happen with Webtoon. And I'm happy DC Comics is doing something. My only nitpick is that it's not going to be any continuity stuff. It's just going to be random stories.
Yeah,
it really depends on it. Yeah, like I'm just like, the only thing that's helping is maybe Webtoon's readers to enjoy these characters enough to pick up a comic, which is going to help DC Comics. I don't necessarily think it's going to help traditional people go to Webtoon, which I wish there were more of because I think Webtoon's a great platform. But I think this is a great move for DC. And I like that DC is trying, at least with picking up new audience members. They did it with their YA graphic novels as well, where Marvel has really become stagnant. They've really just cared about getting traditional comics. They haven't tried with their movies to make comics out of them, or at least tie them in anyway. I feel like they really haven't tried to get new people. And I think that, we'll talk about Runaways later, but, they've really shot themselves in the foot with products like Runaways, Miss Marvel, and Spider-Gwen, and not putting them up on Webtoon. What the hell? Why are they not making graphic novels? Why are they targeting comic book audiences to buy books that comic book audiences aren't buying, but YA audiences would eat up? This is like the $1 million question.
Yeah, I think the only thing Marvel is doing is the younger reader line that they have at IDW with the Star Wars and the Marvel action stuff. Other than that, I agree with you 100%. And I think, like you said, with the DC stuff going to Webtoon, that it's totally that. It's like you might bring some new people in, but it's definitely not going to be like readers like us heading over to Webtoon to see, this new story. If it did have some kind of threads that tied into continuity, that would be cool, but it would alienate all the new people that are going to check it out too. So it's
right. I wonder if they'll have another way of publishing stuff like Marvel does, like with, Penguin Random House or something like that. If they release, more like types of books, like YA books or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. DC's definitely reaching out to more audiences. They were trying to, at least, but I still think, it all stems back down to this they need other content besides.
For sure.
Batman.
Not saying DC's doing it all right, but they're at least trying to make the comic book industry survive a little bit better than Marvel.
Right. Yeah. And that's what and at the end of the day, you want to put your product in as many people's hands as possible. As fickle as we are about print comics and things like that. I think it's important that the digital media does get out there in this day and age, just as long as you don't cancel my print media, I think you just,
I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah. I just think you need to realize that both things need to coexist with each other.
Yeah,
100%. And it's these A-listers that are going to have to keep these comic book stores alive with their battle plans as well. Going into that, we're going to go into our last topic, our big topic of the show, our main topic, which is Bendis is all those books, the Jinxworld books that were part of DC Comics, is going to be part of Dark Horse. He signed a deal with Dark Horse. But Dark Horse is getting a lot of good deals here because they got the Comixology deal and this now. So, you got you're going to be printing Snyder books and Bendis books. He also announced like a new book with the artist from Wonder Twins, I believe, or maybe it was Dial H. I think it's Wonder Twins, Stephen Bryan. And they're doing a new book. But this also, he has such an exclusive deal. He's bringing all his indie books to DC. What does this mean for Bendis? Is this like a sign that he might be leaving DC Comics?
Yes.
What do you guys think?
I mean, it was earlier this year. I think that that his exclusive contract expired, and DC announced they weren't doing those anymore. And so, I definitely think I think after the way Superman was received and other titles that he was on were received and stuff like that, that he's looking elsewhere, and he scratched that itch. He wrote all the big stars over there
very quickly.
Very, very quickly. And I think this could be a telltale sign that he's headed elsewhere.
Yeah, he's definitely.
I'll try out that new book and see if it's
Joy Operation. I think
he's got no other place to go at this point. So it's like maybe I can do pretty good at Dark Horse. They got nothing else going on over there, so I bring all my crap over there, and they'll be happy to have me.
and they are.
Yeah. And they're also seeing, the Substack name. He heard whispers of it, and he's like, indie books. I have a few indie books. Maybe I'll
that's where he got his start. Yeah. I mean, so
but how they're not knocking on his door for Substack.
That is true. He is going directly to. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he
does. He need it though. Yeah.
Does he need Substack? I don't know. I don't know how his sales are doing. I would love to look at like how his Justice League and Superman's doing. I don't know. All I know is that the reviews aren't great.
Well, who's reading Justice League anymore?
Well,
Right.
none of us here.
Yeah,
Exactly, right?
right.
So
So yeah, no, but I'm just saying it's Bendis. He's got this whole body of work. He's done all right for himself up till that point.
Absolutely, yeah.
And he's a good writer, and I hope that we get to see the good stuff from him. And that's why I'm like, maybe this new book will be good. I haven't liked many of his indies in recent years, but I love Naomi, and I'll continue to say that. I love Naomi.
And where does he, like, if he was to leave, then what happens with that character, right?
Well, I know there's supposed to be a season 2 for Naomi, so no matter what, we're at least getting that. So I do genuinely think he's going to stay at DC. I just think he's just going to like stick with Justice League and like do smaller things. Like, I don't think we're going to get a whole Wonder Comics line again. I think the Wonder Comics line is dead, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
absolutely, yeah.
Sure.
Which is sad, because I honestly think that was some of DC's best titles at that time, was a lot of the Wonder Comics.
Yeah, Dial H, and I know you guys weren't as keen on Young Justice, but I like that as well. And yeah, it had some promise. It just didn't take off like they had hoped.
No. So that was our big topic, guys, and we're gonna be going into our big books now. Well, I think we don't have anything in the middle to talk about, right?
I don't think so.
No. All right, so we'll go to big books.
All right, so let me get the doc here real quick. Sorry.
Get back in the swing of things, Mike. Come on, we get the show.
Get back in the swing.
Usually I've been sleeping at this point, but all right. So big book time, guys. I felt that there weren't that many books. There were books that I definitely enjoyed, but every book just seemed like it was a little bit slow, and just nothing really huge happened in a lot of stuff. And the first book that we're going to talk about is a Bat book, and it is Batman 89. This is issue 1. So I didn't like this. I thought it was a cool concept, right? Going back to those days of my childhood, watching that era of Batman, but I was just kind of bored, and I could be the minority on this one, but I just didn't like it. I couldn't get attached to the artwork that was inside of it as well. I was bored by Harvey Dent also. And this is one of the books where I was at the point up to my head with Batman books this week. So I was like, this was the last one. And this was like, I'm just over it. So I don't know if I was bat burned out or if it was just, I just didn't like it. Right.
Yeah. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. It's like one of those, I could have been okay not reading this kind of thing. For the nostalgia, like you said, that's why I read it, and that's why I wanted to check it out and everything. But yeah, it was a little bit slow. It was a little bit boring, and I don't know. I think they could have done some cool stuff with it if they had updated it a little bit. But it just, I don't know, it felt a little boring. Yeah, I agree.
It didn't feel like a number 1 issue though either. It just felt like you were reading Batman 89 for like 20 issues.
Yeah, exactly. They just threw you in. Right. No recap or anything. It's just like, yeah, you've seen this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go ahead. This movie came out in 1989. So I was 14 years old when that movie came out. Gee whiz. God,
it's like it's like if you were coming into this cold and you had never seen that movie, like if you're a younger reader or whatever, and you're just like, why is Harvey Dent engaged to Barbara Gordon? Where did this come from?
Right. It's so odd. Yeah. It's definitely weird. But I'm not going to be reading the next issue. I know we haven't gotten to the chopping block yet, but I am not going to be going forward with this. I don't think there's just too much other stuff out there where I don't know if I can give this another chance.
Yeah, I actually forgot to put this on the chopping block, but yeah, it's probably the same for me.
That's how forgettable it was. It's like, I forgot you even wanted to drop it.
All right, so let's move forward. Another new number 1 book this week. Totally excited about this one to see like what it's going to have to offer for readers. I didn't read really that much of the original volume, but this is Defenders, and this is issue 1 of that series. And when it came to this book, personally, it was another book that was just boring for me. And I just felt like they tried to fit in too much. Like, this is the Masked Raider. This is where he came from. You forgot who he is, so we definitely got to recap you because it wasn't since Marvel 1000 that we talked about this guy. So we got to catch up on him. Then we got to give you the reason why he's here. Now we got to get together the entire team, right? And that took forever. And the way the team was formed was like everything that was opposite from his tarot cards, right? But the whole reason why we couldn't get the real Hulk in there was because, Al Ewing is writing it. So he's like, I created, Betty Ross, Harpy She-Hulk. So I have to have her continue in my book. So why don't we have her in there instead of, Bruce Banner? And of course, Silver Surfer was always on that team, right? And so you got Stephen Strange on there. And so you got that whole introduction, and that took forever. And then real quick, they tried to throw in a plot so you can get to a cliffhanger. And then you get Galactus, I think it was, or
Galactus's mom.
Right? That's what I thought it was. And I'm like, this is dumb. Like, why am I going to go to another multiverse and go fight a Galactus's mom? The artwork was just not for me. It's not my style. I get what
it's the same artist who did Spider-Woman, though.
Right, but I get what they were trying to do with it because it's that type of book where there's a lot of magic and just like multiverse traveling.
Supposed to be psychedelic, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And I can say that it probably fits the tone of the book, but that's not my style, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't like that. I didn't like the ending, which means I'm going to spoil it already. I'm dropping this book too.
Yeah, and that chopping block. Yeah, I'm also chopping this book, which I hate because I love Betty. It's really the only reason I picked it up. But I agree, it was all over the place. The intro for these characters it was just boring. There was no voice. It was just Doctor Strange saying, and he's here. Oh, and she's here now too. Cool. There's no point of the story. I just I was very disappointed.
And who's Cloud?
No, I don't know.
I don't know, actually. I was trying to figure that out the whole time. I was like, I don't remember this character. Who is Cloud? Right? Somebody tell us in the comments who Cloud is.
Yeah, anybody knows. And then they just come across that random person that was just like in that world that they come across Galactus's mom. And then I thought that was a person too. And I'm like, I guess that's not a person. It's just a person fighting alongside of them.
Well, we won't find out if we're all dropping it.
No.
So.
Yeah, it's just like you said, Kat, there was no attachment to any character whatsoever. Just everyone just felt really dull. And again, so this is going to go to my concern when it comes to Donny Cates, when it comes to Venom, because I think Al Ewing did a great job on Immortal Hulk, but it has stalled out, right? And I'm worried for Venom in the future, like what's going to happen with that. And that's why he has a co-writer in that book as well. Because I don't think I don't know, man. I'm really scared about freaking Venom going forward. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But I think Al Ewing has kind of hit his stride with just Immortal Hulk, and that's it.
Yeah. I wasn't even going to get this book. I told Kat last week. Yeah, it was just like, it was a number one. It was I don't know. For some reason I got pulled into trying it, and I kind of regret it. But I agree with everything you guys said. It was just there was nothing to hold on to here. All the character introductions, like you said, Mike, you explained it far better than I could. That whole breakdown of how the whole first part of the issue went, I was just like, oh my God, let me get through this part. And then it was just more of that kind of thing. And it's like, no, this is just not for me. And I didn't feel the art either. I think the coloring made it different than Spider-Woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can agree with that. Yeah. And then it's just like, and then when Doctor Strange talks in his like magician mumbo jumbo, like that totally takes me out of the book. Like, I don't even understand what you're talking about, man. Just like stop talking that way. Like, just talk like a normal person and let's just move on. Like, he doesn't need to be this sorcerer supreme the entire issue.
It felt like it was written in the 70s. It really did.
Right.
And I guess that was
maybe that's the point.
but wasn't for us.
Exactly. That's all.
All right. So that was Defenders. And then next is, I'm curious to hear what Kat says about this book, because this is on her chopping block. I know it is. And this is Fight Girls. This is issue 2. Me, I love this book. I am having a blast with this book.
I really enjoyed it too.
It's just fun.
I think I just hate fun. I love looking at the pretty ladies. Don't get me wrong, but other than that, it's kind of all I like about the book is like it looks really pretty. It's a cool looking book. There's some good action, but the story, there's just too many girls. There's too much. It's just like there's no character for me to be hooked onto, and I feel like there's so much that's
Eye Patch.
Well, besides Eye Patch Lady, and I don't like her.
But that's the one you're supposed to be focusing on. Though,
she's like the imposter, you know.
Yeah.
That's what's so fun about it, you know. It's just like, oh yeah, she's in there and she's the badass, but yeah, she's not really who she says she is. And then you got the person that's investigating, goes to the woman, gives her a stroke, and she dies, but he gets the information that he wants. And but the action is just fun. I love that. You know, hey, we got to get to the finish line and we got to go against these giant sandworms, these gigantic turtles, and these girls will do anything that they need to do to cross this finish line. And it's unique. It's different. I haven't read a comic like this before. And yes, the artwork is gorgeous and the ladies are good to look at, but I have fun with this comic book. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I know how it goes.
I think it's a lot of fun too. I enjoy it, and it is a pretty book. But I like Eye Patch Girl, and I like the little mystery of why is she there? Why is she being an imposter? You know, what's her end goal? What's the end game of the whole thing? And so that's the thread that I kind of hold on to. I agree with you that there are so many girls that it's kind of hard to remember who's who. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure in this issue, the hair color was colored wrong in one panel of one girl, because I'm like, there's no girl with that color hair, that style. That girl's dead.
Eye Patch Girl, you see a lot of her from her backside.
Yeah.
And if you look in her head, her eye patch is not like all the way around her head.
Oh, yeah.
But but a lot of people that mentioned this on my channel and said that when this book first came out, there's the list of ladies, and they picked to see like which one would want to win, right?
Yeah.
And then I get people go, man, my girl was knocked out in the first issue.
And so was Kat's. Yeah,
very first. Mine was the blonde girl, of course, and she was out, but she had a good out. You know, if anyone was gonna die, she died like right away.
The very first panel.
Very first panel.
Up at that. That was hilarious.
That was my girl, and I was rooting for her. I was
wonder
not
if
rooting
she's
for
gonna come
Eye Patch
back
Girl.
somehow. I don't know. It's something. There's gonna be a twist somewhere around here.
Well, if she comes back, come knocking on my door, and I'll.
Dude, you should finish issue 2 already. You should just finish it. You're like, well, I'm gonna finish boring Infinite Frontier, and you can't finish Fight Girl.
I did it for Erratic, and I was like, oh, I can't do that again. And guess what? It was for the blonde girl. And she wasn't worth it.
It's better than Erratic, though. I love this much more than Erratic. Erratic was just erratic. We know that.
That's not a huge challenge. So.
And it's like a 5-minute read. You know, it's not.
It is very quick.
Difficult read.
I really liked Erratic.
Well, Brant, you're the only one.
I know.
What happens when Volume 2 comes out?
Oops. Knocking stuff off. I liked it so much that I got the trade.
Oh, really? Man.
Oh, my God. I would never spend any more money on that.
I spent enough. I will not get that sequel. I do not care. I'm not getting it.
I was sorting out comic books. I have so many books I have to put away. I used to be so good about it, but again, during the summer, I didn't have time. So every week, I got like 20 books piling up. And my stack of indies were like this big. And I came across Erratic. I'm like, oh my God. But I filled up a whole short box full of just independent books.
Oh, here's a cool book I just came across.
Oh my God. I wonder what that book's about.
Who's that? Whose book is that?
Who's the dancer? Gotta find out. Go check out issue 1.
Yeah.
Product placement.
And I didn't even have to pay for it.
Yeah, right. All
This is
right,
free
so we talked
advertisement.
about the Fight Girls issue 2. There's no fight left in Cat for that series. So
I'm done.
we're
I'm
gonna
the blonde
move
girl that died.
blonde girl. So let's move on to our number 5 here. Let's see, where am I at? All right, so my number 5 was actually Detective Comics issue 1041. It was a toss-up between that and Avengers, Tech on Avengers. I really like that one too. But Detective Comics is just a much better quality comic in general. Had a lot of fun with this one because I love that villain Vile. Like, I could care less about like the mayor and the daughter that got killed. Like, that's all old news. But this issue, you get like Bruce Wayne's like secret hideout winds up getting destroyed. And so now it's like, now he truly has nothing. Like, he's got nowhere to go. All he has left is like basically like a cell phone and Barbara to talk to, right? And a secret stash. So he had like his old costume that he had. And but at the end, you wind up seeing Vile get like his parasitic insides taken out of him, and they're using it for like ammunition, and they shot Batman, and he's becoming part of the vile creatures, and Huntress can see that he's infected. I love that Huntress got cured, but she can see all the victims of Vile. Like, she's part of that hive mind. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be disagreeing with Mike all night. It
No,
looks like
I'm
I
outta
didn't
here.
love this issue.
I'm coming back in 12. I'll be back in 12 weeks. We'll see
if I change my mind on Detective Comics. No, I didn't love this one. Sadly, I like the mayor, and I like the Huntress and the daughter story a little bit more than the Vile story. I feel like it's been going on for too long. I just want another arc already.
Cool.
He looks cool, but that's about it. I want to see what's up.
Been going on. He's been going on since I've been on here 12 weeks ago.
I want all of it to end. I want a new arc completely. I like the art, though. I like the art.
I'm tired of the Worth story. I'm tired of. I don't love Vile either, but I do like Huntress. And this is actually my number 5 by default. It was between this and America Chavez.
I dropped America Chavez, and I recommended that book for you.
Yeah, you did. I enjoyed it. It just, once they took away, that she was not, that she was not from a different dimension, it just kind of, fizzled out a little bit for me. But my number 5 is kind of loose. It was like between those two and Infinite Frontier of all books. So it's like, where am I? But it's detective, so obviously it's going to edge out a little bit. But I'm just a little tired of the story. But I did love the through line with Huntress. I liked that one shot, the Secret Files Huntress book, and how this was a callback to that, and kind of continuation. Yeah, so yeah.
I mean,
I like Batgirl.
Yeah,
like Oracle.
I can understand. I can agree to an extent with both of you. Honestly, like, if this was a different week, this probably wouldn't be in there. This wouldn't be in my top 5 because I said it earlier. It was kind of an underwhelming week for me. Not a lot.
Right.
You didn't read Runaways, so I understand.
Yeah, I'm not reading. You'll never get me to read Runaways just because it started like it's gone on for a long time.
It's been years.
100 issues.
Which is great. Yeah, it's been a long time.
So, all right. So that was my number 5, and Brant, this was your number 5. So, Kat, what was your number 5?
Mine was Fantastic Four Life Story issue 3. This is the Johnny centric issue. Kind of also agree if this was another week, it probably wouldn't have made my top 5, but I thought the ending was really good. I love the idea of Johnny saying, sometimes you just want to be remembered. Like, did I end it correctly? You don't want to overstay your welcome. I thought was really interesting. And he dies in the end of this. So,
right.
Yeah, I think there are some slow parts in this issue, but I overall enjoyed Johnny's arc and the narrative about the 80s. And where the family's at, because they were all separated now. They're kind of going to be the Fantastic Four again.
I read that first issue, and then the second issue, something happened where where my shop didn't actually get it, And then when the third issue was coming out, I was like, I'll just forget about it.
The second issue is better than the third. I love the
Was it?
second issue.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was an Invisible Woman. I really loved it. Brant seems to hate issue 3. Fantastic Four life story.
So I didn't hate it. It's not for me. Some of the inner monologue that Johnny was saying was really good. I agree with that, but everything around it, I'm so sick of Reed being obsessed with Galactus and that whole thing. It's boring the crap out of me, and it being the mad thinker and all that kind of stuff. It was just, I don't know. I was bored throughout the entire thing. I actually had to force myself to read it after trying to a couple times. So yeah, it's just not for me.
The beginning was definitely slow. The beginning was very slow, but I thought it picked up at the end.
I don't know. I'm not enjoying it, is the bottom line.
Understandable.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the book that I have nothing to say about. I haven't read a single issue about it. Kat's been waiting this entire show to talk about this book.
That's why I'm here.
And unfortunately, this is going to be the last time she talks about this series until another one comes out. So we're just going to get it underway. Here we go. We're going to talk about the one and only. Let's skip it. No, we're going to talk Runaways issue 100. Here we go.
All right, I'm ready. This issue blew my mind, and it's so upsetting that it's the last issue because it makes absolutely no sense that it would be. There's so much that happens here. We find out that Chase is evil in the future, but as a gradual evilness, which I thought was interesting. Nico and Carolina are separated because Carolina needs to take care of her body and like go back to her, at least her people, not her planet, because her planet's not around anymore. Zavin returns. Alex is creating a new team and is monitoring all of this. There's, a possibility that Molly wants to go to Krakoa. It is just such an overall great issue, but also it's like bittersweet because it ends in a way where it's not really an ending. You're like, well, now you have Nico and Carolina that can't even show up in other books because of this. And then we don't know if it's ever going to continue. And it just leaves you on this big cliffhanger. But the beats it hits is so good, which is so hard to like rank this issue because of it. It's like, it's such a good issue, but also it's not like a wonderful finale because it's like when a show gets canceled and it doesn't get the opportunity to tell its last story. And that's how exactly it feels on this one.
Yeah. It left so many questions, and it's cool for the possibilities of another writer picking it up at some point and running with any one of these threads. Yeah, no pun intended. Especially the stuff with Alex with the whole new J team and that kind of thing. But yeah, with Caroline and Nico, it's bittersweet ending for them, but poignant too with her giving her the staff of one and telling her not to bring it back, and it's like
that moment.
Yeah, that was huge.
Good.
Yeah, so good and so huge, and it's like, what kind of implications does that have for her soul? Because she's got that deal with the person that's possessing it and that kind of thing. So and then Molly, we know eventually, like if any future timeline is true, that she's eventually going to end up with the X-Men at some point, right? So is this where that begins? Does she go to Krakoa? What happens there? And Chase is in the future now. He's not even with the team anymore. And so many questions left up in the air. It's like, man, but so good.
But also, like, if they want to show up in other books, it becomes a little impossible besides Molly. Like, Nico, she doesn't even have powers anymore because the second one's gone, so she can't really show up anywhere. Maybe Carolina could show up in space somewhere, but it's like, it's so interesting because, like, again, we could talk about the Tim Drake stuff until forever, but a lot of people were like, well, I want new characters. Don't we have enough of these stories? Like, this is like one of the only monthly queer books I had. A, it's over, and B, we can't even get any of it more. Because they're separated. So even if they want to show up another book, they can't because it's literally, unless they like rewrite this stuff, it's like they're totally separated. So it's like in that way, it's very bittersweet, but it was well written and it was still a good send off. So it's not a bad story. It's just like, oh, another queer couple we can't see.
Yeah. I wonder if it'll come back as like the J team with Alex or something, or the new Runaways, or who
I think
knows.
that'd be crazy because that would like not sell well. Like it's just like already Runaways is not selling great, and it's like, oh, now we're gonna call it the J team and make it sell worse. Again, the only way is like let's go on Webtoons. Let's do a graphic novel, and I really hope they end up doing that. But the way they leave it, it's like I don't know if this is gonna continue at all.
Yeah. It's hard because they did so much great character work in this, or Rainbow Rowell did so much great character work in this series with every single one of the characters. It made you care about every single one of them, including Alex. And it's just like, man, now what happens to them? Where do they go?
Yeah.
So
that's our big Runaways talk forever because we probably will talk about them for a couple more years.
What happens? You never know. You never know. It's just comic books, so anything could happen, right?
But Runaways has never had a, they were gone for like 10 years, and like, oh, TV show time. We'll make a comic. Then TV show got canceled.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about this one. Now, I didn't read this one, but obviously we've heard this talk. The chatter has been going on for a long time about Tim. And this is, it's a pretty big issue. So Batman Urban Legends issue 6. So what did you guys think about it? So besides the whole Tim Drake situation, what about the other stories in there?
Yeah, because
we
were
talking about.
We went in depth last week.
Tim. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're
Gotcha.
good.
Yeah,
we're all good with the Tim stuff. But yeah, Brant, go. What were your thoughts?
The Red Hood story was good, right? Like, it was a nice finality to that. I loved Jason coming for Bruce and trying to rescue Bruce, and it kind of mended their relationship, this story, and with the whole Bat family coming to Jason's aid and Batman's aid and all that kind of thing, and just also Batman on cheer drops. What he sees in there is like basically his inaction has caused them so much pain, and he knows that, and their happiness would have come from him, ending all these threats that have torn that family apart, and he's got to live with the decisions that he made. So a lot of deep introspective stuff happened in this story, but ultimately it left you with Jason kind of evolving into a different version of himself, which I really liked, and getting the new costume, which we saw pop up at the end of Detective. And it sends him on a different course, and he's giving up guns and that kind of thing. So I keep saying that kind of thing a lot, by the way. I don't know why. That's a new thing for me. I've said it like 4 times in the past 5 minutes.
That thing within like 3 times.
I know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, but anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed the Red Hood story. The Wonder Woman / Zealot story, it was okay. Random. Yeah, totally random. And the last story, what was the last story? Checkmate. It was the Checkmate thing, right?
It was
leading up to Deathstroke. Yeah, leading up to Deathstroke Inc., which was interesting to see how those two came to be. Because I remember when they announced that story that Black Canary and Deathstroke were teaming up, we were all like, how in the world is that going to happen? So seeing how that came to be was interesting, at least. I just, it was okay. But really, it was the two, Jason Todd and Tim Drake stories that made the book. The other two I could live without.
Yeah, no, I really liked it. The only story I disliked was probably the Wonder Woman one. I liked the Black Canary one because we got to see some interactions between her and Barbara, and again, we got to see the connection to Deathstroke Inc.
I didn't love the art in that one, though.
I was going to say the artwork was okay. Jason Todd loved. I thought it was a great finale. Really, really like where he's going. And again, him giving up the guns, and it was so well written. And the reason to read Batman Urban Legends, if anything, was for that Jason Todd story. And then Tim, obviously we've talked about it. I love that story. As someone who is bisexual, I really enjoyed the representation and can't wait for November. I don't know when that story is coming out. I think it's November. The next chapter of that will come out. So yeah. I really like this book. I know there's a lot of Batman books out there, but I like that this shows a different scope of the Batman universe, and everything feels important. Like Jason Todd, like him giving up the guns. That's such a big fact, a big turning point, and that's in an anthology book. Tim Drake, obviously, is such a big story. It's in this anthology book, so it doesn't feel like it's a waste of time. A lot of anthologies feel like, short story that means nothing. So it's nice that, honestly, a lot of things mean a lot in Urban Legends,
Yeah.
and I'm honestly really enjoying this series. My favorite anthology by far that I've ever read from a superhero, either Marvel or DC.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. There it is, Urban Legends. All right, so let's move on then to our number 4 book of the week. My number 4 is probably a book that you guys don't read. I definitely don't think that Brant would ever read this book, and this is Bunny Mask. This is issue
Don't
3.
read it.
This one's done by Aftershock, and it's such a weird book. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's about this girl who was kept in a cave by her dad, who was going crazy. Heard voices in his head, I think called the Snitch or whatever it is. And so Child Services came to check on this girl because she hasn't been to school. And this dad has done all these crazy things and stuff like that. And the dad winds up getting killed. And there's this creature that runs around in this cave with this bunny mask. So you get to see what happens in the past. And basically, at this point now, we get to see this daughter who is like this girl who is actually older now. And she runs into the guy that saved her life, like 14 years ago, when she's like an older woman and he's like an older man, and they've developed this relationship with each other. And now all of a sudden the dude is like starting to hear those same voices in his head. And the police officer that was with him is also hearing these same voices. And the woman that is like wearing the bunny mask is showing up out of nowhere. And it's just a very weird type of book, but it's so mysterious that you want to read more of it, So it's a crazy mystery because you don't know who the bunny mask person is at all. And just like a spoiler here, the girl that supposedly survived the event, well, they somehow went back to this house. They found the girl's body. And so the person that's supposedly the adult now, it's not really her. So, and we don't know anything else besides that. So very interesting story. It's, like I said, great mystery. Creepy, but it is very, very good. I really enjoy it. I don't even know why I bought it to begin with when I first heard about it, but I was like, it's some weird lady in a bunny mask, so why not check it out? I think it's the horror side of me that I wanted to check it out in. And when I got done reading that first issue, I was like really super hooked on it.
Cool.
So definitely
sounds interesting.
Yeah. It really is. It's a great book. It's not like overly gory or anything. It's very, the artwork is a little bit muddy because I think it's meant to be that way because it's very mysterious. So interesting stuff. All right. So Kat, what was your number 4?
Mine was Daredevil, issue 33. I really like the Elektra stuff in this. I enjoy her battle with Bullseye and then her interaction with Iron Man and Spider-Man. I don't like Daredevil's story, though, and it's so weird to say. I hate that he's still in jail. It makes no sense. It literally, they've tried so many times, like, you don't have to be here. He's like, nope, I want to be here. I'm good. Like, I just don't care about his story as much as I do Elektra. Like, the Bullseye stuff is so much more interesting.
Also, him being like the king of the hill now, and this cop being scared to death he's going to kill him. That just made no sense to me. That came out of nowhere. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Other than that, because that was such a small part of this issue, all the Elektra stuff was great. I absolutely loved this. This was my number 4 as well. And just her still dealing with like how do I take Bullseye down and still uphold Matthew's values and that kind of thing. And there I go with that kind of thing again. No. I don't know where that came from. It's this new thing. But yeah, not
thing again.
I know. I really enjoyed the Bullseye clones more than I thought I would, and the explanation of why they're there and how that came to be was cool too. So I really love Elektra as Daredevil. It's this thing that I never thought I would thought I would be into, but it just totally works. And again, that inner struggle with her ways and his ways and trying to mesh them to make the new ways is just, I love reading about it. So
yeah, our conflict is so interesting.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. I love that. I love the issue myself. Had a great time with the Bullseye clones. It's like, that's pretty crazy. Like, one Bullseye is bad enough. You clone a Bullseye and now you got like 3 of them running around just picking off people. That's pretty dark, man. And then you got obviously the Kingpin with Typhoid Mary involved in there too.
Yeah.
You got there,
which is leading up to a marriage, I think.
Yeah. And then, so there's a lot going on in this book, and you got Chiquetto's artwork, who's back on that book after taking a little bit of a break. And when
he's done after this.
Yeah,
he's done after
I know.
This. He's leaving Marvel.
Yeah, his artwork's beautiful, man. It's so good.
Yeah, so good. I agree.
Makes this book so much. It's not even in the same realm, but this is a great issue. I agree with you guys. All right, so everyone went for our number 4. So we're going to move on to a book I actually fell off of. And this is Captain Marvel issue 31.
I mean, next issue is a pretty good jumping on point. This issue was really fun. It's just them going. It's just a filler issue.
Wait a second. I thought you don't like fun.
I don't normally, but I guess only for Captain Marvel and Kelly Thompson, I normally give it a pass for fun. Okay. But this is a good character driven issue where we get to see them go on vacation and ride a regular plane, and then Captain Marvel's sister shows up and says, "Hey, Mom's DNA has been stolen. Help me out." And it's just them fighting alongside each other and trying to help that situation. Didn't quite love the ending because you have to see more of this villain who I'm like, I don't care. But I'm also excited for the next arc, which is going to be like these Captain Marvels coming together. So I do think last arc, slipped a little bit, but this issue is a good jumping on point, and hopefully next arc will be good as well.
It was also a good transition to that because, that sludge thing appears as, Marvel and you kind of get the idea that the one controlling the sludge or whatever, manipulating it, has something to do with the story arc coming up. So that it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, it was just all about the characters here. There was a lot of great one-liners and dialogue, good jokes in between, Rhodey and Carol and her sister. And it was just fun. That was the thing. This was like the funnest book I read this week. It was just a lot of fun.
100%. I agree.
All right, cool. All right, so now we're going to move on to Mighty Morphin issue 10.
This was an origin issue of Zordon, which is interesting. I liked it, but I still just don't like this series as much as I do the other one.
I thought this was the one that you liked. This is the Earth-based one.
Oh, this is the Earth-based one? Oh, shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
It was a detour from the normal story. Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of that other one. You're correct.
Yeah.
I still like this issue. I enjoyed the Zordon stuff, and I like that Dan Morrow's back. That was cool. But I definitely like the human stuff more. Like, I like last issue more than I like this one.
Yeah, it was better when they were sprinkling this stuff in between the Earth-based stuff. But this whole issue was about that, about Zordon and those other characters, which I assume that one becomes Lord Zed, and that's kind of where this is heading. Yeah. So, knowing as little as I do about everything, Power Rangers, that seems where it was going for a while, and to see that confirmation come through in this issue, that was like the big takeaway, and how Zordon, kind of died and possibly ascended. That was interesting, but I agree with you. This wasn't as good as the rest of the story has been, so a little bit lower.
All right. You can see I still don't read Power Rangers.
I do see that. I don't recommend it for you, but I do love the book, and I'm glad Brant has jumped on board. That TMNT book, that would have been a good jumping on point if you were going to read something.
Right.
I agree.
All right, so then we're going to move on to our number 3. My number 3 was a book we did talk about already, and that was Fight Girls issue 2. So, Kat, what was yours?
Mine was Captain Marvel. We already talked about it.
Fowler.
Batman Urban Legends, which we already talked about.
Okay, so we just move right along and we talk about this book, Infinite Frontier issue 4.
I mean, the biggest comment is I don't care. Right? Like, I just don't care about this book anymore. It's so I kind of like the Roy Harper stuff, but it's just a copy of the Wally West story. I do not care about the cliffhangers. I don't care about the multiverse. And it's just fine.
Yeah, it was interesting to see them come across the Anti-Monitor Shadow, whatever, and, bring in something called Injustice and all those characters. That, the cliffhanger was at least interesting, and I agree. The best part about it is probably the Roy stuff, even if it is Wally-esque. But yeah, it's just it's not hitting the notes that it needed to hit for me.
Yeah, we're all excited about that one. So let's just move on. We talked about Daredevil.
Yeah.
So now we're going to move on to number 2. My number 2 is a Justice League book that I actually really enjoy, and that's Justice League Last Ride. I love this issue just for the pure reason of this was the moment in time where you got to see that Batman is not blamed for John's death. And you get to see that John was the one that volunteered for it to sacrifice himself so the others could basically live. I thought that was awesome, right? And just a lot of emotion in this book, just like with Superman. Obviously, he's like, no, there's got to be another way. And obviously now you know why he blames Bruce for the death. I love all that. That is the great stuff. The Lobo stuff, I'm like, I don't care about Lobo, right? But I just love all those moments leading up to that part. And then you get kind of thrown into the very last page where Eradicator Superman is at. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's going to be a kind of a fun, I think, because this one is 5 issues? Is it 5 issues, Last Ride? Or
I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't remember. But had a great time with it. Really enjoyed the character emotions in it. Great artwork, great battle scenes. Awesome book.
Cool.
All right. You guys all dropped off of it, I guess.
I never even read it.
Really?
Yeah. I got the first issue and never got around to reading it, so I didn't get the rest.
Gotcha. Yeah. First issue, good. Second, third issue, not so good.
That's where I dropped it.
This fourth issue, I'm like, I'm gonna give it one more try because it's Chip Zdarsky. I'm like, there's got to be something in here that's gonna grab you, right? And this was the part. This was it. This was the issue where you're just like, oh, now it all makes sense now. So
really I'm glad it was better. It was after issue 2 or 3. I was like, I'm good.
Yeah,
too many books on my pull list.
Yeah,
it's like somehow it's like I'm still that desperate person that wants that Justice League book, and if I'm not going to get it in Brian Michael Bendis, well, at least I'm going to keep trying with this one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. It is a better one to try it with. We do have a question from Tizzy. Did anyone read I Am Batman issue 0? I don't think any of us are reading the Future State Batman stuff.
No,
so I'm not reading it.
I actually did read it. It was okay.
Oh, it was okay. So there you go.
All right.
The art was kind of flat in that. Yeah.
It's been flat from what I read. I didn't really like the art.
So, Brant, what was your number 2 then?
My number 2 was Captain Marvel, which we already talked about.
Right. And Kat?
We're going to reverse ours. So mine's Batman Urban Legends.
That's funny. All right. So let's talk about a book that I don't think any of us talked about yet, and that was Joker. Issue 6. So
spinning its wheels, man.
I haven't been here in a while. So what do you guys think of Joker at this point now?
Tiny ain't gave up. He got that deal.
Team, huh?
And he gave up.
He's on this up until 14, though.
We had really been enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I think like last issue was last 2 issues, and this one was just, oh my goodness. It was hard to get through.
Yeah, went so talky. Nothing happens. The artwork felt flat to me. I just didn't like it. I'm like, man, where's the old Joker? And it's going to 14 issues. I was disappointed.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely fallen off big time. And I just found myself bored. Again, this is just another one of those books where nothing happened this week. And you're just like, man. And after reading this one, now you understand why with Batman 89, I was just like, oh, no more Batman, please. I just didn't want, even
and
though.
Why you like Detective.
What's that?
And why you like Detective, because after you read those two, you're like, oh, that wasn't as bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think Detective I probably read earlier. So I was like, I think Detective was the first one. And then it's like, then this one. And then I was like, oh, Batman 89. I'm like, no more. I'm done.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that's it when it comes to freaking Joker. I guess we're just. I mean, I'm going to continue it because I want to see if it gets any better, right?
Right.
You know, it just seems like there is that lull right now. So we'll see what happens.
If there's like 2 more issues like this one, though, I'm done.
You're done.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna continue to see it through because we have an ending point.
I know, but man, I can't keep reading stuff like this issue.
This is in the last issue.
It's just I don't need to know that much about Gordon's, former marriages and all that stuff. I just don't.
He's just like, oh, I said I was going to go to Paris, France, and then I just never decided to go, and then I was going to book the tickets, and then all of a sudden my wife was pregnant with Barbara, and we never got to go, so I got baguettes, and
that was my favorite part. I still got the baguettes, but they went uneaten.
Like, what are you talking about? Why do we need to read all that?
Yeah,
I don't care. I don't care. Just give me some Joker stuff. Give me some like female Bane. Like I just felt like it was also like a recap issue of just what you missed in 2 issues ago, but still nothing happened, right?
Right.
Or even a Barbara and Jim issue, like anything would have been better than this.
Hey, but remember that picture on the refrigerator.
I always will.
With the eyes, right?
Yep.
It means that I'm keeping my eye on you. Oh man. All right, let's go on and talk about our number 1 book of the week.
Runaways.
So Kat is Runaways, Grant's Runaways. Mine is Daredevil. So that's
okay. Well, there you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Quick and easy.
Last time you can guess my number 1 will be today. Yes. So after this, we'll never know what my number 1 is.
All right. So we got about 10 minutes to try to wrap up this show. So let's go and talk about our most anticipated brand.
Are we going to do the rest of the chopping block first?
Oh yeah, I guess so.
We talked about most of them. I'll just throw in there. Ordinary Gods is half chop for me, and Hardware Season 1. Oh my goodness, that's a hard drop.
Yeah,
that was
bad for those milestone books.
So bad, and the art was so inconsistent in this book. Mm-hmm. There was the father figure that took this guy in. He looked, I'm not even joking, he looked like a completely different person in every single panel he was in, and different ages too. It's what in the, it was terrible. It was so bad.
I was on the fence about this book, right? I was like, should I pick it up? It's number 1. Give it a try. But am I going to care about it? So I looked at it at the shop. I flipped through it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
That should have been it. Yeah.
I was like, nope. So, yeah.
It was terrible. The only I don't even know if I'm going to try anymore beyond Static. It's just Static, and that's okay.
I'm only getting Static right now. I don't like Iron and Rocket. Static's the only thing I'm going to keep.
Yeah.
And the chopping block for me was Defenders and Fight Girls. So we already talked about it.
Yeah, Defenders. Yeah, I didn't say it earlier, but definitely Defenders for me as well. So, all right. Moving on to most anticipated now. There we go. Let's talk about some more Batman. We got Batman Secret Files Clown Hunter. I did enjoy the Huntress one, which I mentioned earlier. So I'm excited to check this one out too.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to check it out. We haven't seen Clown Hunter in a while, and I want to learn more about these characters. I feel like there's been a lot of characters that were just introduced, and we don't really get much after that. So hopefully there's an arc for him.
That's the problem with Tynion leaving, though. Like all of these characters are leaving or introduced, and no one knows who they truly are or what they're about. And like Tiny, and I'm sure had like this vision for all these characters, and now he's going to be leaving, and then what do all these other writers do with it? You know what I'm saying? So we might never see the true intention of all of these different characters when other writers try to write
He had
them.
a 5-year plan. That's so sad.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I'm curious to see what happens with Clown Hunter. You know, it'd be cool to see him again.
Yeah. So, Mike, we haven't talked since we found out this news that this book is getting canceled.
Oh.
Black Cat #9. It's
I'm so disappointed.
Right?
I mean, I know he's written all he can with her, but obviously he's taking her out in a big way. Like something big is obviously going to happen to her. But let me just tell you, this freaking book is phenomenal. It is so good. It has gotten consistently better. The last issue is like a movie. That's what I would like to see on a big screen right there. It was so good. I love how confident he makes her. And it just, oh my God, it's so good. And now she's acquiring all the people that have the Infinity Stones, I guess. I guess that's going to be the intention here, because she acquired Star in the last issue. And now somehow they're going to probably get the stone out of her, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man, but I cannot wait for this next issue. And it's been so good.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's taken Black Cat into a different level of character, and I'm going to be sad to see this one go. But I'm excited for this next issue for sure. All right, we got speaking of Infinite Destinies, we got a tie-in for that Miles Morales Spider-Man Annual #1, which I'll admit I am so behind on these Infinite Destiny books.
They're pretty good.
Yeah,
some of them tie in more than others. Like some of the one that has the characters that actually carry the stones.
Yeah,
some of them don't. So I don't know if Miles really does. I think it might be a loosely connection. I don't know. We'll see. But Miles Morales, dude, you talk about a book in general that's just been suffering. Like I read that whole Clone Saga thing.
Yeah,
and then I read the oh, that was bad. And then I read the Aftermath issue, and I'm just like, oh man, like what has happened to Miles Morales? And I keep trying it because I so want to like him. I so want to like him.
And he's had great stories in the past. He's a good character.
Yeah, he's a great character, but I don't know. I just don't know what they're doing. Like, what's the point of this clone character that's living with him right now or whatnot? I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I'm buying this one too because of the Infinite Destiny storyline as it ties
right. Together. We did see the new costume introduced in this issue that came out this week, so it looked cool. It was cool the way it came to be. I will say that the way, because it was
they
a fan
don't know
of
what they're doing with Miles.
No,
they don't
no, I know, no. I'm saying the way the costume came to be because it was made for him by a fan that he had saved.
I mean, that's
so
cute.
It was cool.
Is it necessary?
No. It would
in the way
they made it necessary because it was all burnt to pieces and he couldn't afford to get a new one. So
in the way it was, but the way it was written was that those clones were wearing his suit, so he said that he could not look at himself that way anymore.
Yeah, that's true too.
And didn't want people thinking that he was this type of Spider-Man, so that's why he also changed the suit.
Yeah, it did make sense. The suit stuff worked for me. It was fine. Yeah. All right, staying with the Spider-Man family, loosely sort of Spider-Woman, just #14.
Still reading it. I'm on board with it. Yep.
Last issue was fun.
Last issue had a good cliffhanger too, with the brother returning. Should be good. Again, with Spider-Woman, sometimes it's great,
right? She fought Lady Bullseye.
Yeah.
Yes, she did. Yeah. Some issues are like, it's okay, but when's good, it's good this book.
Yeah. This is funny because she was like fighting her and she was like the banter back and forth was really good. And she was like, oh yeah, you would definitely wear an outfit like this, right? It was kind of funny. I liked it. And I'm curious to see if this relationship will get resolved or not with her and Porcupine. I don't know if it is. I don't know if he's actually ever going to see her again.
Which sucks. I hate that.
Yeah, it does.
That goes back to the original status quo. But she still has her son, so there's still that.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Jerry. He's cool, but I like Porcupine.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's become a big part of that kid's life that he'd just be cut out. That would be terrible.
Yeah.
Never know.
Yeah. All right. A book that I actually really like the first issue of, issue 2 of Moon Knight is coming out. And it surprised me. I really enjoyed it. Did you read it, Mike? You didn't like it? You hated it? Okay.
I was so bored.
I'm the only one then.
But I am going to keep reading it because I just feel like that first issue was all about, this is Moon Knight, this is where I'm from, and this is like my story, and I got all this shit that's behind, like all this baggage. And I felt like that's what you had to read first to kind of understand the character a little bit more. And you know what set me to keep buying this series? Because Tigra is showing up in issue 4.
Huh.
So I was like, oh, I'm going to continue to read it at least through here. And I did the same thing though with Black Cat. I didn't like Black Cat in the beginning either.
Yeah.
Look where it's at now.
That's true.
I'm just going to go with a history of the writer, and I'm just going to give it a solid try.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Circling back to the Spider-Man stuff, we get Sinister War number 3 after a really good first issue, really lukewarm second issue.
Too.
Yeah. Let's hope this one's good.
All over the map. Issue 1 I loved. One of the best Spider-Man stories within Nick Spencer's run. Then issue 2, I'm like, no, not again. So bad. And then issue 3, we'll see where that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, issue 2. I'm trying to remember what happened. It was like
nothing.
Nothing. It was just fighting. It was Kindred saying,
it was like, I'll snatch you. You go fight Spider-Man. You go fight Spider-Man. It was him gathering all the teams.
And it's like you find out that all the characters are manipulated by Kindred.
Yeah, right.
And because he put a freaking millipede or centipede in their ear, and now they're all listening to him so they can fight. His character pisses me off because it's like he tries to make him like a nostalgic villain because it's Harry, but he gives him a new fancy costume, right? He just doesn't fit with those classic characters. It just doesn't make sense. And for those characters to be manipulated by him, it takes away the appeal of this particular story. I thought this was going to be a story of these villains going after Spider-Man and breaking him, not Kindred behind it all, right? I think it would have made a lot more sense if you left Kindred off to the side and these villains came together and go like, we want to kill Spider-Man once and for all. What do we have to do that?
Also, their motivation. It was like, you're all going to hell. I'll make sure you can be second in command if you do, though. Okay. What?
So stupid. Why don't they just sit there, fight through the little pain that they're going through in their ear, and just take him out?
It was weird.
And Kindred says himself, he's like, why don't you? We need to take out Spider-Man once and for all, for good this time. So you guys need to kill him all. Why can't you kill him all? You killed them 35 times already in the previous story arc. Why do you have to get these guys to kill him if you're so big and bad, Kindred? It pisses me off. I hate him. I hate that character.
Yeah. Did you see Kit Kat's comment?
What did he say?
Oh, let me say.
Mind controlling your... Oh, snap. It's the plot of the film Powerpuff pilot.
Oh,
man.
Snap, man.
That's bad.
Oh, God. That's my thoughts on Sinister War at this point. Like, I read that second issue, and that's right. It was just a disappointment for me at that point.
Yeah, after issue 1 was so promising.
Mm-hmm. All right, we mentioned Loki earlier in the show. We got King the Conqueror issue 1 coming out. You guys excited about this?
No, just as a young Avengers fan, I'm gonna try it out.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm at.
Iron Lad, yeah.
King the Conqueror, the character's hot right now, so I'm going to definitely give it a try to see what it has to offer. If it hurts my brain, though, I don't know if I'll stick with it. We know how these time travel stories are. We had the Age of Ultron. Like, remember that? Like, I thought when I was reading that, my brain was going to explode. There was so much time travel and Wolverine interacting with Wolverine. And it's like you're trying to remember scenes that happened 3 issues ago. And oh my gosh, man. So I have a feeling, when it comes to Kang, you could get more of that, but I'll definitely give it a try.
Yeah. Another number 1 from Marvel, X-Men, The Trial of Magneto. It's finally here. Did he kill Scarlet Witch? We'll probably never know.
I'm going to try this out just to see where it goes. I like a good mystery, a good murder mystery, but I have no faith. Honestly, I've not read a good X-Men book in a while.
I'm giving it an issue at least.
One issue,
exactly.
At least. Yeah. I'm not excited about it right from the start. I don't know if I don't want a trial. Like I see the trial of Magneto, and I feel like Magneto is going to be sitting there, and he's going to be like,
talking.
Well, here's what I did, and this is where I was at this time, and you're going to see a flashback of what he was doing, and it's going to be during the gala while he's talking there, and he's eating his dinner and stuff like that. And I feel like that it's going to be a very boring series.
It very well could be. Yeah, we will see. All right, we got Noctera, which also got a mention earlier in the show. I love this book. I think it's so good. And now, like last issue, she decided she was going to leave, right? Is that where we were at? She's going to leave this sanctuary.
Yeah, well, she ran into...
that the flower, right? Was that the last issue?
No, she ran into the boss. Like she was going to stay, force her brother to stay because the brother was like, I'm not going to stay. Now I can leave and this and that. And she's like, no, we're staying. She goes to confront the guy that's in charge. And we find out that the guy is working with the big boss.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where it goes. Noctera is good. I love that book.
Yeah. And a book that Kat is apparently excited for, Eat the Rich, number 1. Interesting title, that.
I'm actually picking it up, though.
Are you?
Yeah.
It sounds cool. I'm going to read the description because I don't want to butcher it. It says, what unspeakable horror eats away at the heart of Crestfall Bluffs? With law school and her whole life ahead of her, Joey plans the summer with her boyfriend, Aster, in the seemingly perfect hometown of Crestfall Bluffs. It's a chance to finally meet Aster's family and childhood friends, all while enjoying a vacation with every need attended to by his servants. But beneath the affluent perfection lies a dark, deadly rot. Will Joey discover the truth before it's too late? And she does. Can she survive the tale? So it seems like all these like childhood friends and stuff are gonna like want to kill her. So I'm like, damn, that sounds fun. And the art looks really cool. It just looks like a cool story.
I mean, it's from Studios. Yeah, I was about to say it's from Boom. They do good stuff. I'll probably try it out as well. But yeah, it doesn't really sound like my thing, but I'm going to give it a shot. I think
you never know, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, then these 2 books we know we're excited about. We got Radiant Black, issue 7, one of my favorite books out right now.
Yeah,
100%. I love this book.
The introduction to these other, Power Ranger. I mean, Radiant.
Yeah.
We haven't seen the continuation because we had the origin issue last
right for
Red character.
Yeah, which was really good. Yeah,
absolutely, really was good.
Yeah, and then we started this on a Bat book. We're going to end it on a Bat book. Nightwing issue 83. At least it's a good Bat.
Stoked. I heard there's something big that happens in this issue. I have not been spoiled yet. I haven't read it, so I hear it's a big issue. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Another one of my favorites right now. So. And that is our most anticipated.
All right. So let's go ahead and quickly, anything going on between you guys right now?
It's all Cat.
A lot, but I will go quickly. Obviously, check out Slice of Life. That's premieres on a weekly basis on Webtoon. It's about an anime character that comes to life and falls in love with a high school cheerleader. We also have Boston Fan Expo coming up in like 2 weeks, so look forward to that. I have Free Comic Book Day vlog that I'm happy with, and I think it's really funny and fun, so go check that out. And then I will also not be here next week, so it's only going to be Brant and Mike next week. So, and I rarely take breaks off the show, so I would say it's a break, but I actually will be working all day somehow that day. But I won't be on next week. But I'll be back the week after. But you'll still have Comic Uno episode for this week. So if you want my thoughts on this week's books I would have talked about next week on the show, you go check out the best comics of the week. And that's it for me.
Brant, you have anything?
No.
Right.
I feel like I never have anything, but
All
yeah.
right. Well, for
nothing
me,
right
anyway, if you guys want to check out my free comic book day video on my channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0, go ahead and check that out. I actually did a live stream for my comic book shop, which was kind of cool. Got to show off all the free comic book day books and just, kind of answer you guys questions and stuff like that, dude. It was like super fun to do that. I thank my comic shop, Comic Central, for having me. And also, if you guys want to check out top 10 comic book covers of the week, my top 10 most anticipated comic books for next week, that actually dropped today. And then tomorrow you can look for a comic book haul. And then just go ahead and check out the rest of my videos for the rest of the week. I'm thinking about doing a live stream for after the poll this week on Thursday. So, yeah, because now you can do live streams from your phone on StreamYard, which is like you can host them now. So, which is kind of cool. And my phone is better quality than my Chromebook. So you can do banners and everything, which is super sweet. Yeah. So I'm actually might consider doing that this week. So we'll see what happens. So stay tuned for that if that happens. But besides that, that's it. So, guys, thank you so much for being on the show. It was great having you all, on here. And it's great to be back. I'm excited to be back. And, of course, guys, please subscribe to Comic Book Weekly, Comic Book Corner 2.0. Don't forget to hit the bell so you get all those notifications. And in fact, when you hit the bell, hit receive all notifications so you get all the content for us. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on all the cool stuff. Of course, give this live stream a thumbs up. And of course, you can follow us on the social media, which is on Facebook, which is on Instagram, which is on Twitter, and of course, YouTube. So until next week, guys, have a great new comic book day. Enjoy those comic books, and we'll see you all real soon. Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.